I only want a yes or no. In a heated moment, Judy Chu presses the IRS CEO for a straight answer on free tax filing, but what happens next says everything. Why is a simple question so hard to answer? Let's break it down.
Thank you. And it is getting a little loud in the audience area, so if you could please keep your conversations outside, we would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Ms. Chu?
Mr. Bisignano, affordability is the #1 issue of Americans. As hundreds of millions of Americans are in the midst of the tax filing season, it's imperative that we focus on common sense solutions to improve this process for all Americans. And I think we can all agree that taxpayers deserve an efficient, clear, and affordable system to file their taxes. And that's exactly why Democrats and President Biden established Direct File, a pilot program allowing taxpayers in certain states with simple tax returns to file directly and for free with the IRS. And it worked. In just 2 filing seasons, Direct File handed back $90 million in refunds to taxpayers and saved $5.6 million in tax preparation fees for just federal returns, lowering the cost of tax filing for hundreds of thousands of Americans. Unfortunately, this progress was totally squashed when President Trump, the Treasury Department, and your agency eliminated Direct File last year, leaving taxpayers with the so-called Free File program, where the IRS partners with private tax preparer companies to purportedly provide free services. And the biggest winners from that decision were not taxpayers, they were the giant tax preparation companies like Intuit and H&R Block that have spent years and millions of dollars lobbying to keep the IRS from offering a true free filing option. So I want to be very clear, Free File is not free, because what happens is this: a taxpayer logs on to file their taxes thinking it will be free because that's what the program is called. So they start entering their information, clicking through page after page, and it's only after they've invested time and effort that they are suddenly told they must pay a fee to continue. At that point, many people feel they have no choice but to pull out their credit card just to finish filing their fees. The private industries that control Free File have repeatedly been caught steering eligible taxpayers away from free services and toward paid products. Intuit even paid $141 million to settle allegations that it charged taxpayers who should have been able to file for free. So when Direct File began proving that the government could offer a simple and actually free alternative, it threatened a very lucrative status quo, and the Trump administration pulled the plug. So, Mr. Bisignano, I only want a yes or no answer. Will you commit to restoring Direct File so that Americans are not forced to pay private companies just to file their taxes?
This is the report.
I said yes or no.
October 2nd.
Yes or no?
Right. It's not a yes or no question.
Well, as I expected, you didn't answer. And that's why I just led over 100 members and senators in introducing the Direct File Act to restore free tax filing so taxpayers don't waste their savings while corporations profit. So let me say again, Free File is not free. And we will do what your administration refuses to, which is actually lower costs for working class Americans by bringing back Free File. And Mr. Bisignano, last year, Commerce Secretary Lutnick appeared on Fox News and proudly proclaimed that President Trump planned to abolish the IRS and replace it with an external revenue service. Well, the external revenue service never materialized, and Trump's illegal regime certainly did not replace income taxes. Instead, it functioned as a national sales tax, ripping $1,700 out of every American's pocket. And when that rebranding failed, then Trump fired 28,000 IRS employees. That's 27% of the entire agency. So your agency is under attack by the president tasked with overseeing it. The result is exactly what you'd expect: worse service for everyday taxpayers and more opportunities for wealthy tax cheats to game the system. That is not right. The pattern here is unmistakable, and that is increasing costs for the American taxpayer. And I yield back.
The moment Judy Chu says, "I only want a yes or no," instantly shifts the tone from routine questioning to high-stakes confrontation. It's a strategic move. Strip away the complexity, remove the escape routes, and force clarity. In political hearings, that kind of direct demand often reveals more than a long speech ever could. At the center of the clash is the fate of the IRS Direct File program, which was designed to let Americans file taxes for free. Chu frames it as a practical, helped taxpayers save money, while its removal appears, at least from her perspective, to favor large private tax preparation companies. That tension between public service and private profit becomes the underlying theme of the entire exchange. What makes the moment especially compelling is the refusal to give a binary answer. The IRS CEO's hesitation highlights a common dynamic in Washington. When a yes or no, officials often pivot to broader explanations, but in doing so, they risk reinforcing the very suspicion the question is trying to expose. Chu doesn't let that ambiguity slide. Instead, she doubles down, using the lack of a clear answer as evidence in itself. By doing so, she turns the exchange into a narrative about accountability, suggesting that if a straightforward commitment can't be made, then something bigger may be at stake behind the scenes. By the end, the issue goes beyond just tax filing. It becomes a larger debate about transparency, trust, and who the system ultimately serves. Moments like this resonate because they reflect a frustration many people feel. When decisions impact millions, shouldn't the answers be just as direct as the questions?